Well, at least the Seahawks covered the spread. No, it's still disappointing that the Seahawks lost this game. And the worst part of it was you kind of felt like as if the game was just teasing with you that maybe this was at least going to be some kind of win when it was 10-7, when Drew Lock actually did throw a touchdown to DK Metcalf. But then the 49ers, they closed it really fast. Now, I didn't really get to see the entirety of the game because hashtag don't quit your day job. But before we get into this, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification. So, yeah, the game started off with Christian McCaffrey with his insane run that was nearly a touchdown, and it should have been. And eventually the 49ers went up 7-0. And then the Seahawks immediately tied the game with a touchdown pass by Drew Lock to DK Metcalf. He was on my fantasy team, so that kind of helped a little bit. My fantasy team is getting blown up right now. And the Seahawks eventually made it 10-7, but then ultimately the 49ers just had a handle on it to make it 28-16. The good news is, though, of course, as I said at the beginning of this video, the Seahawks at least did cover the spread because 49ers were around a 14-15 point favorite. Now, that doesn't really matter because the Seahawks did lose, and now they are below 500, and they are dangerously in danger of losing their playoff spot, or they may not even have it. I'm not even looking at the phone right now, but the other thing that bothered me about this game is, of course, DK Metcalf, where, you freaking idiot, why do you get yourself into these kind of altercations with other players? Yes, it's the heat of moment and everything, but you just don't go grabbing into someone's face mask about it. Handle it like an adult. Man, this guy really just cannot keep it together. He really just can't. He's a head case. Reminds me of those guys like Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco, Randy Moss. Now, at least all those three guys, at least they didn't go to what DK's level is. But man, he really is a prima donna. As much as I love the guy's talent, he really just can't control himself at all. Drew Lock himself, at least the numbers, if you take the interceptions away, maybe he kind of had a good game, but just couldn't really move the ball, and it really just proved that he is just not the quarterback of the future for the Seahawks. Like, I can't believe there were people out there that actually think that Drew Lock would be better than Geno Smith, and here's the thing, I don't like Geno Smith at all. I don't think he's the future, but Drew Lock should have never been on this team. He should have never been there. He should have been gone since last season. Not that he played or anything, but he really proved that he is just not the guy. Especially when you have an offense consisting of Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and even healthy-ish Will Dissly, Noah Fant, pretty solid tight end. No, I think the Seahawks, this really proves that the Seahawks really do need a quarterback. Because Geno Smith is not getting any younger. He's definitely up there in age. He's barely younger than Russell Wilson. So I think Geno is due. He's absolutely due to get... No, not Geno. The Seahawks are due to get a new quarterback. Whether that would be Jaden Daniels, which I'm not really sure since he won the Heisman. So that might raise his draft stocks. Whether it be Bo Nix, who does have mobility, but is a little bit on the older side. He would be drafted around the same time Russell Wilson got drafted in age. Maybe Michael Penix. But I don't really like Penix much because he doesn't really have feet and have injury problems. But regardless, they're probably going to sit under Geno Smith for the time being if they were to somehow get drafted. And I somehow hope that the Seahawks do get in position to even land any of those guys. But going into next week, I believe they're playing the Eagles or the Tennessee Titans, whoever they are. I'm pretty sure, let me double check my calendar. It looks like they're playing the Eagles next for Monday Night Football. So that's going to be a really tough game for the Hawks, especially when you're playing against a Super Bowl contending team. And it was unclear. I mean, it's kind of surprising that the Seahawks even got Monday Night Football knowing how bad this team really is. Like, yes, I'll cover that game, but I don't think the Seahawks really stand a chance, and I don't think they stand a chance in the playoffs. And even if they do make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to even win the wild card round at all. So there's a really dark part of me that is perfectly fine with just throwing the entire season for any chance to get any of those quarterbacks. Yes, you're not supposed to say that. But hey, last year I wanted the Seahawks to somehow get in position for CJ Stroud, and I know you're not supposed to tank and all that, but this team, do you really see a team like this that has terrible defense as well, and now a terrible kicker? Do you really see this team competing for the Super Bowl? I certainly don't. So I just wouldn't get our hopes up at all to make the playoffs. Like, honestly, if they made the playoffs, I probably wouldn't care that much because we can't even beat anyone. Some of those losses were easily preventable. Should have beat the Rams. You should have beat the Bengals. You should have beat at least 2 of those games. You really should have won that one. And you should have beat the Cowboys. And also, yeah, I'll say it too, defense is also atrocious as well. So some changes are going to have to be made, which Pete Carroll, he really hasn't had the best luck with defensive coordinators ever since Dan Quinn left. So hopefully he finds anyone for a suitable replacement. Or maybe spring Dan Quinn over away from the Cowboys. Yes, you should have picked him up before the Cowboys did. That's what I'm going to say. But that didn't happen. So what the Seahawks need to do if they're going to survive, somehow find a way to beat the Eagles, somehow find a way to get their defensive players to step up, because it looks like the Leonard Williams experiment isn't working well. And don't forget the Seahawks gave up draft picks for that. But otherwise, I'm just waiting for the draft at this point. If the Seahawks make the playoffs, great. If they don't, whatever. At least they'll be in slightly better draft positions. But those are my thoughts on even the Seahawks 49ers game and just the Seahawks in general. And if you did like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And thanks for watching.